been living under the illusion that words will save you, that if you speak with enough sincerity, if you explain yourself clearly, if you plead, persuade, or reason, the world will adjust itself in your favor. That belief has been your cage. It's why you're overlooked. It's why your position is weak. You think control is earned by being understood. But understand this, the battlefield does not care about your explanations. It reads your posture. It weighs your silence. It measures the way you move when all eyes are on you and when no one is. Control is not built on chatter. It is built on the unshakable weight of presence. Machiavelli knew it. He played courts and kings like pieces on a board. And he learned the truth you've been blind to. Power often speaks loudest when it says nothing at all. You've wasted months, maybe years, bleeding your energy through explanations that made you smaller. Every justification was an act of surrender. Every attempt to make them see your point handed them another layer of leverage. The weak announce their intentions. The strong let the terrain do the speaking. You've been walking onto the battlefield, waving a flag that tells the enemy exactly where to aim. They don't have to outthink you. You've already given them the map. Machiavellian strategy dictates that the most dangerous commander is the one whose moves are invisible until they're already complete. You have done the opposite. You've been transparent, predictable, readable, and therefore disposable. It's not because you're stupid. It's because you've been conditioned your entire life. You've been trained to believe that clarity means speaking, that relationships are built through emotional exposure, that good intentions protect you. This is the doctrine of the powerless, those who have no weapons but their voices cling to the fantasy that talking is a weapon. It's not. Talking is a transmission of intelligence that can be intercepted, decoded, and used against you. Silence forces them to guess. Guessing burns their resources. Every day they try to read your face, your pauses, your movements. They are spending supply lines, burning fuel, wearing out their own troops. While they drain themselves on speculation, you build. You've been easy prey because you have been too available, too explainable, too accessible. On the real battlefield, this is death. The enemy doesn't need to attack you head-on if they already know your flank is unguarded. They will wait until you move exactly where they want you. Then they will close the trap. This is what's been happening to you at work, in your relationships, in every arena where power is in play. And because you've believed the fairy tale of mutual understanding, you've been walking into these traps willingly. You thought you were building trust. You were handing over your sword. The silent law of control is this: the less they know, the more they imagine. And the more they imagine, the more they fear. Machiavelli understood that fear is more reliable than love. Love can be withdrawn. Fear binds them to your gravity. It keeps their eyes on you, even when you do nothing. Especially when you do nothing. Silence creates the vacuum where fear multiplies. Every unanswered question about you is a seed. That seed grows into rumors, projections, calculated myths, and those myths can serve you better than any speech. But you've been afraid of silence because you've mistaken it for absence. You've believed that if you're not speaking, you're not influencing. Wrong. Silence is presence without exposure. It is the moment before the blade strikes. It is the shadow in the corner of the war room that everyone notices but no one dares to address. The general who controls the battlefield without firing a shot is the one who owns the war. This is what you've been refusing to learn. You keep thinking you can control perception through volume, through repetition, through clarity. No, You control perception by restricting supply. You ration what they get. You make every word carry weight because words are rare. You make every movement strategic because movements are few. Ask yourself, who have you been feeding with your constant explanations? Who has been gaining intelligence on you while you've been leaking it like water from a cracked canteen? Every time you justify yourself to someone who is not on your side, you are resupplying the enemy. Every time you clarify your position in a room that does not share your agenda, you are extending their chain of command right into your camp. You are your own traitor. Niccolo Machiavelli once warned, not in sentiment, but in principle, that to reveal your plans is to surrender them. I'll put it in terms you can't ignore. You are losing because you are too loud in the wrong arenas. The men and women who dominate the board are not the ones spilling their strategy. They are the ones who make you believe you understand them while moving in ways you never anticipated. The dagger is already at your throat before you've even realized a game is being played. You've convinced yourself that silence will make you seem weak or disengaged. That's because you've never weaponized it. Silence, when combined with observation, is reconnaissance. It's how you map the terrain. While they speak, they reveal positions, weaknesses, blind spots. You catalog every detail. You memorize the cracks in their armor. You learn the rhythms of their supply drops. You identify the moments when their guard lowers. You do not interrupt that process by exposing yourself. You hold your position until the strike is absolute. You want to dominate without saying a word. Stop broadcasting your emotions. Stop offering free access to your thoughts. Stop announcing your boundaries and start enforcing them without declaration. When they step too close, remove something they value. When they test you, respond with a shift they cannot predict. Your presence should be the message. Your actions should be the law. No negotiation, no warning shots. Machiavelli's silent law is not about withholding out of fear. It's about controlling the flow of power so completely that they are forced to adjust to you. Every time, without exception, you've been operating as if goodwill is a defense, as if showing your true self will disarm the sharks. Sharks don't care about your truth. They care about your blood. And every unguarded word is blood in the water. You think the room will respect you for being open. The room will use what you've given to pin you to the wall. The first rule of the silent law is that you must cut the enemy's supply lines before they cut yours. That means you shut down leaks verbal, emotional, informational. You become a fortress with no open gates. This is not about becoming cold for the sake of it. It's about becoming unassailable. The coldness is the armor. The detachment is the wall. Inside, you can think, plan, maneuver without interference. You stop fighting battles. You don't need to fight because your position is too strong to attack directly. The enemy must then waste their energy circling, probing, testing, and in their exhaustion, they give you exactly what you need to end them. You've been told all your life to speak your truth. Machiavelli would spit on that advice. You don't speak your truth. You move it into position like a siege weapon. And when the walls are weakest, you fire. No warning, no fanfare, just decisive impact. Domination is not a debate. It is an occupation. This is where you are now. Either you keep playing the victim of your own transparency, or you close your mouth, open your eyes, and learn the silent law. From this moment, you will operate under wartime discipline. You will ration your words like ammunition. You will track every move of those around you as if they were enemy patrols. You will dismantle their intelligence networks by giving them nothing they can use. And you will make your silence heavier than any speech they've ever heard. Your choice is simple. Keep being read like an open map or become the map no one can read until they're already trapped inside it. You have been living as if the field is fair, as if merit wins wars. It doesn't. Position wins wars. Intelligence wins wars. Deception wins wars. Your problem is, you still think winning means being liked. That's why you've been bleeding ground without even noticing. You confuse temporary approval with actual security. You hand over your position for applause, and then wonder why the applause stops the moment you need reinforcement. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Alliances are not built on sentiment. They are built on leverage. You have none, because you give it away for free. You talk yourself into weakness. You explain yourself into irrelevance. Every movement you make on the battlefield of life must be calculated for its impact on perception. The silent law forces you to strip away the indulgence of casual expression. You no longer speak to express. You speak to maneuver. Every word you utter should either secure territory, reinforce your position, or undermine the enemy's. If it does not, it is waste. Waste is dangerous in war. It exposes you. It depletes your reserves. It signals you have no discipline, and discipline is what separates the predator from the prey. You've been conditioned to respond instantly. They call your name, you turn. They ask a question, you answer. They press for information, you give it. This reflex is your weakness. You've never forced them to wait. You've never forced them to wonder. And so, you've never forced them to feel the pressure of uncertainty. Uncertainty is a weapon. It keeps them off balance, guessing, adjusting, wasting their energy on phantom threats you haven't even deployed yet. That is the space where the silent law operates. You don't need to crush them directly. You let the weight of not knowing do the work for you. Think of yourself as a fortress. A true fortress does not send runners to explain its defenses to the enemy. It doesn't hang banners listing its troop strength, supply levels, or battle plans. It remains impenetrable by design. The enemy learns nothing until they are inside the kill zone. And by then, it's too late. That's how you must carry yourself. A living fortress. No visible cracks. No careless openings. You've been acting like a merchant in a bazaar, shouting your goods for all to hear, letting anyone inspect, touch, and bargain. Then you're surprised when thieves take what they want without paying. You don't even realize the thieves are the ones smiling at you the most. Niccolo Machiavelli would have no patience for your need to be understood. He would strip that from you like armor that's been compromised. He would teach you to cultivate distance, to master restraint, to hold your fire until the moment of decisive execution. In politics, in business, in personal power struggles, the one who controls the flow of information controls the pace of the game. Right now, you let the enemy set the tempo. They provoke, and you respond. They question, and you answer. They feign weakness, and you rush in, only to find it was a trap. You are always reacting. The silent law forces you to flip the script. You move. They react. You withhold. They scramble. You disappear. They chase. You reappear. And the ground has shifted under their feet. You need to cut off the addiction to being seen at all times. Visibility without control is exposure. You are not here to be constantly observed. You are here to be strategically perceived. Your image must be crafted, not streamed. This is the art of controlling the battlefield without exhausting yourself. A constant presence is predictable. Predictability is a target. You want to be visible enough to be remembered, but rare enough to be mythologized. In scarcity, your perceived value multiplies. In scarcity, even your smallest move feels like a calculated strike. You must accept something brutal. Your relationships, alliances, and opportunities are not lost because you were too silent. They were lost because you were too transparent. People do not leave you because you are unreadable. They leave because you are easy to read. And in war, easy targets are disposable. You've been giving them the entire manual on how to control you, your triggers, your needs, your ambitions, thinking that openness builds connection. All it builds is a blueprint for your manipulation. Here is the next principle you must engrave into your mind. When you speak, you commit. In war, every commitment is a position. Once you take it, they can aim at it. Your constant speech means you are constantly locked into positions you cannot defend. Silence, on the other hand, is fluid. It is water on the battlefield, able to slip around obstacles, fill unseen channels, carve out paths no one anticipated. This fluidity is the essence of the silent law. You are not pinned. You are not fixed. You are a force they cannot grasp, and therefore cannot corner. Every conversation is a front line. Every meeting is a reconnaissance mission. Every interaction is a chance to gather intelligence while giving away nothing. You've been using these opportunities to perform, instead of to infiltrate. You smile. You engage. You share, without realizing you are arming the very people who will one day decide whether you are promoted, betrayed, supported, or discarded. Stop feeding them. Let them guess. Let them build their own theories about you in the absence of your words. Let those theories conflict until their own uncertainty weakens their alliances. When they cannot read you, they cannot unite against you. When they cannot predict you, they cannot preempt you. When they cannot provoke you, they cannot control you. This is not about paranoia, it is about positional dominance. It is about becoming a commander of perception. Your silence must not be passive. It must be the silence of a loaded weapon. Always ready, always aimed. They feel it without you needing to declare it. From this point forward, you are done with verbal defense. You will not justify, explain, or overshare. You will answer with actions. You will speak only when the outcome is already in your favor. You will choose your words like a sniper chooses a shot. Rare, deliberate, final. Every silence will be intentional. Every word will be a strike. And when they finally realize they have no idea what you're truly thinking, it will be too late for them to mount a counterattack. You have been living in the open. Now, you move into the shadows. The battlefield is yours, but only if you learn to disappear from it until the exact moment you decide to appear. You keep thinking the enemy is out there. You haven't understood yet the enemy is anyone who can influence your position without your consent. That includes allies. That includes friends. That includes people who smile when you enter the room. On the battlefield of power, proximity is both opportunity and threat. The closer they are, the more damage they can do. And you've been letting everyone close without setting conditions. You've been treating access to you like a public square when it should be a fortified gate. Machiavelli would tell you this: control begins with scarcity. Not scarcity of resources, scarcity of you. Every time you allow someone to read your mind, measure your mood, or predict your reactions, you've just surrendered the advantage. And you have been surrendering it constantly. You've been moving through the world like an open supply line, unguarded, unprotected, broadcasting your route. Of course they cut you off. Of course they exploit you. That's what a strategist does when the enemy makes it easy. The silent law is not passive. It's not simply say less. It's about building a perimeter and operating inside it with precision. Every interaction is a test of that perimeter. When they push, you don't push back, you pull back further, making them chase into unfamiliar ground. When they demand, you don't meet the demand, you shift the terms entirely. You stop playing inside their frame. You force them into yours. And once they're inside your frame, you close the exits. You've been conditioned to think this kind of control is cruel. That's because the powerless want you to stay powerless. It makes them feel safe. They don't fear your kindness. They fear your absence. They fear your unpredictability. They fear when they can't read you. And that fear is leverage. You don't need to abuse it. You need to command it. Fear keeps them cautious. Caution slows them down. Slowness gives you time to set the board. Every move you make from here on must be stripped of weakness. Weakness is not a feeling, it's a pattern. Your patterns have been obvious. Your habits have been predictable. That's why they've been able to flank you without resistance. You must break your patterns the way a commander breaks the enemy's supply chain quickly, decisively, permanently. Stop being where they expect you to be. Stop responding in the way they've trained you to respond. When they expect explanation, give them nothing. When they expect passivity, advance. When they expect compliance, remove something they want without warning. Every disruption forces them to reallocate resources. Every reallocation weakens them. Machiavellian strategy is not about brute force, it's about attrition. You don't need to destroy them in one strike. You just need to keep them burning energy faster than they can replenish it. Silence accelerates that burn. While they speculate about your intentions, they waste energy building defenses against threats you haven't even decided to deploy. That's the beauty of operating under the silent law. You can change direction at will, and they will still be reacting to your last move. You must also understand this. The battlefield is psychological long before it's physical. Words are only one channel. Your expression, your timing, your presence, your withdrawal. These are all signals. Right now, you've been sending them without awareness, giving away your position with every glance, every tone shift, every delay in your response. You need to control your signals like you control your breath. Deliberate, consistent, unreadable until you want to be read. They have studied you for patterns, and you have made it easy. You've been walking through the war zone with a torch, illuminating your own movements. From this moment, the torch goes out. You move in darkness. You force them to navigate without a map. And when they misstep, and you strike with precision. You don't give speeches. You don't offer justifications. You move pieces on the board. And when they realize they've lost ground, the move is already irreversible. Your silence must be backed by capability. An empty fortress falls the moment the gates are tested. Build your resources. Strengthen your alliances quietly. Stock your armory where no one can see it. By the time they recognize the extent of your power, it should already be too late for them to challenge it. This is what Machiavelli meant when he spoke of appearing harmless while holding decisive force. Let them think you are idle, while you are building the capacity to close the campaign in a single maneuver. You've been a soldier following orders. The silent law makes you the commander. Commanders don't explain why they move troops. They don't justify why they fortify one position and abandon another. They move according to the larger plan, invisible to those who only see the immediate skirmish. You will stop reacting to the noise of small battles and focus on the war. That means you must train yourself to let minor provocations go unanswered, not because you are weak, but because they are irrelevant to the final objective. The people around you won't understand this shift. They will call you distant, cold, difficult. Let them. Their discomfort is the first sign you're regaining control. Those who benefit from your transparency will resist losing it. That is the point. Their resistance confirms that you've been giving them too much. Every complaint about your silence is proof that your silence is working. You are not here to be like. You are here to be untouchable. You are here to hold the high ground so completely that they can only approach on your terms. And if they want to reach you, they will have to exhaust themselves, climbing terrain you've chosen. That exhaustion is your advantage. That advantage is your power. And that power is multiplied every time you choose to say nothing and let them bleed out in the fog you've created. Up until now, your silence has been a shield. It has kept you from bleeding more ground. But shields alone don't win wars. They only buy time. If all you do is defend, you will eventually be worn down. The silent law is not designed for defense alone. It is a staging ground for decisive strikes. Silence builds the conditions where your enemy is most vulnerable. And when that moment arrives, you do not warn them. You break them. Without speeches, without ceremony, without hesitation. Your first weapon in the offensive phase is timing. The undisciplined speak when they feel like it. The strategist speaks when it costs the enemy the most. You wait until they have overextended themselves. You wait until their supply lines are stretched thin. You wait until they are celebrating a false victory. Then you make a single move that collapses the foundation they've been standing on. This is not dramatic, it is surgical. Machiavelli understood that the most enduring victories are the ones that look to the outside world like inevitabilities. When you move at the right moment, your enemy appears to fall by their own weakness. Your hand is invisible. The second weapon is presence. You've been told presence means being everywhere, being noticed. That is a lie. True presence is the pressure they feel, even when you are not in the room. It's the uncertainty that makes them rehearse their words before they speak to you. It's the knowledge that one wrong move could shift everything, and they wouldn't see it coming. You cultivate that presence through discipline, by refusing to react to every provocation, by making them work for every piece of your attention, by letting them feel the consequences of crossing you without ever explaining them. The third weapon is denial. Deny them access. Deny them information. Deny them the satisfaction of knowing where they stand with you. In war, supply denial starves armies. In power, information denial starves influence. When they cannot get what they want from you, they will try to guess how to get it. In guessing, they make mistakes. They overreach. They reveal themselves. You are there to record every misstep and wait for the one that leaves them exposed. Then you cut, quietly, completely. Understand this. Your silence is not absence. It is a constant psychological operation. You are shaping the mental terrain of your opposition. Every unanswered question becomes a seed of doubt. Every delayed response becomes a space where they fill in their own fears. Every withheld gesture forces them to wonder if they are losing ground. And while they are consumed by uncertainty, you are moving pieces in the shadows. By the time they realize the game has changed, you are already in control of the new board. You have made the mistake of thinking people will credit you for restraint. They won't. They will mistake it for passivity until the day they realize that while they were talking, you were taking. You must make peace with their ignorance. In fact, you must use it. Let them underestimate you. Let them believe you've withdrawn. Let them relax their guard. The moment they do, you advance, not with noise, but with an action so direct it cannot be undone. The silent law does not care about theatrics. It is not about humiliating your opponent in public. It is about removing their ability to operate permanently. Sometimes that means removing them from a position quietly, so they don't have the chance to rally allies. Sometimes it means taking away the resources they depend on, so their power evaporates without a fight. Sometimes it means isolating them so completely that their voice carries no weight, even if they scream. And when it's done, you move on. No victory lap, no celebration, only consolidation of position. Niccolo Machiavelli would tell you this in the coldest terms. The one who speaks least controls most. If they know how to move without being seen, the common fool thinks power is a performance. The strategist knows power is possession. Once you possess the ground, you do not need to announce it. They will feel it every time they try to move and find themselves constrained. You will no longer be reactive. You will no longer be drawn into fights that are beneath your objective. Every action from here must serve the long campaign. Stop looking for closure in your confrontations. Closure is for those who need emotional resolution. You are not here for resolution. You are here for dominance. You are here to decide the terms under which others deal with you. And those terms will not be negotiated through conversation. They will be enforced through position. From this point on, you will not explain your moves. You will not seek agreement. You will not wait for validation. You will act according to the strategy you have chosen, and you will let your silence do the rest. Those who understand will adjust. Those who don't will be removed from relevance. Power without permanence is nothing. Taking ground is worthless if you can't hold it. The silent law is not a single maneuver, it's an operating system. Once you establish dominance through silence and precision, you must fortify that dominance until it becomes self-sustaining. The battlefield changes constantly. Alliances shift. Enemies regroup. If you relax, they will probe for weaknesses. They will wait for you to slip back into your old patterns of overexposure. And if you do, they will strike. The most dangerous moment is not before you win, it is after. That's when complacency kills. Machiavelli understood this. It's easier to take control than to keep it, because once you hold power, every eye turns to you. Every conversation you are not part of becomes about you. And here is the truth. Your silence becomes even more dangerous then. In the early stages, silence créate uncertainty. Once you're in control, silence créate paranoia. They start inventing motives for you. They start questioning each other. They begin to see shadows where none exist. And in that chaos, they will make mistakes. You will record them all. To entrench the silent law, you must make yourself a constant factor that cannot be moved. That means you do not respond to minor threats. You let them flare up and die without intervention. Your intervention is reserved for moves that shift the entire balance. This teaches everyone watching that you do not waste energy on skirmishes. You fight only when it matters. And when you fight, you win without noise. Control is not visible, it's felt. They should feel it in the way they hesitate before making decisions that involve you. They should feel it when they measure their words in your presence. They should feel it when they realize they can't predict your next move. Yet every move you've made has taken you further ahead. You do not need to be present for them to feel it. Your influence should operate in rooms you've never entered. That is the mark of entrenched power. When decisions favor you without you even asking, you have been taught to build trust through accessibility. That is peacetime thinking. This is not peacetime. In war, Accessibility is a liability. The more they can reach you, the more they can drain you. You will build barriers not impenetrable, but selective. Every gate must have a purpose. Every audience must be earned. Every word you speak must reinforce the idea that speaking to you is a privilege, not a right. When they believe this, they will prepare before approaching you, and in preparation, they will reveal what they value, what they fear, and what they want from you. All of it becomes intelligence you can use. Machiavellian strategy dictates that you keep your enemies close enough to observe, but never close enough to influence. You must learn to smile without opening the door, to stand beside them without sharing your ground, to make them believe they are part of your circle while keeping the circle sealed. The most dangerous enemy is the one who thinks they're your ally, and you can only keep them in that state if you never let them see your hand fully. The more you speak, the more they measure you. The more they measure you, the more they plan against you. The less they know, the more they plan against possibilities that may not even exist. That is the true attrition of the silent law. They exhaust themselves fighting phantoms, and while they do, you build, you gather resources, you expand your influence, you reinforce your position so that by the time they stop chasing shadows, the real walls are already unbreachable. You must also accept this. Holding power will make you a target. You will be tested. The test will not come from open enemies, they're easy to spot. It will come from within your ranks, from those who believe they can replace you. They will probe for signs of weakness, signs of inconsistency. They will try to draw you into situations where you expose yourself emotionally or strategically. You must meet these tests with silence first. Let them expose themselves. Let them overplay their hand. When they have committed fully, then and only then do you move. And when you move, it is final. You don't warn them. You don't give them the satisfaction of a duel. You remove them from the board in a single, silent strike. This is the phase where you stop thinking like a participant and start thinking like the architect. You are no longer just maneuvering in the game, you are designing the game itself. And once you are the architect, you do not explain the rules. You simply change them when it serves you. That is the deepest level of control. When others operate inside a system that you built, without ever realizing you are the one who decides where the walls are. When you have entrenched your silence into the structure of your power, they will never be able to remove you without dismantling the entire system. And by then, the system will depend on you too much to survive your absence. That is the position you must build. That is when domination becomes permanent. There comes a point when the silent law stops feeling like discipline and becomes instinct. At first, you have to fight your reflex to speak, to explain, to seek validation. You feel the tension of withholding, the pull to fill the air. But over time, silence stops being a choice. It becomes the default. You no longer need to remind yourself to hold back. You simply do. And when that happens, you've crossed into a different class of operator. You are no longer playing the game as they know it. You are operating on a higher plane where every word, every movement, every absence carries weight. This is the phase where people begin to fear making assumptions about you. In the beginning, they thought they could read you. Then they realized they couldn't. Now they begin to understand that even trying to read you could be dangerous. Because you might notice. Because you might respond. Because they don't know what that response would look like. And that unknown is more powerful than anything you could say. Niccolo Machiavelli would tell you that this is the purest form of control. When you do nothing, yet everything adjusts around you. You no longer have to push to move people, they move themselves in response to the space you create. to the pressure your silence exerts, to the boundaries you never announce, but always enforce. Your absence becomes a presence. Your presence becomes a weapon. You will see the shift clearly. People who once took liberties with your time will start to measure their requests. Those who once tested your patience will begin to watch their tone. Even those who consider themselves your equals will pause before assuming your agreement. This is not because you have threatened them, it's because you have redefined the terms of engagement without saying a word. They know the cost of misstepping, even if they can't name it. From here, you no longer waste movement. You don't react to every provocation because not every battle matters. You don't need to prove your strength because your restraint proves it for you. You understand that the highest level of domination is not constant aggression, it's control. So complete that conflict rarely even begins. Opponents dissolve before they form. Plans against you die in whispers because no one wants to be the one who tests you. But there is danger here. The danger is thinking you have arrived. That because you hold the high ground now, you always will. That's how commanders lose empires. The silent law must be maintained like a fortress wall. It requires constant vigilance. Complacency is the one enemy that can breach your position from within. You must remain as disciplined in peace as you were in conflict. You must keep your observation sharp, your movements deliberate, your information sealed. This is the choice you face now. You can either fall back into the comfort of being understood, of being liked, of being predictable, and watch your control evaporate. Or you can commit fully to the silent law. That means cutting out the habits that made you weak. It means killing the reflex to over-explain. It means holding your position when the urge to speak claws at you. It means becoming the fortress they cannot breach, the commander they cannot anticipate, the shadow they cannot chase. You already know what happens if you choose the first path. You've lived it. You've felt the humiliation of being read too easily, the frustration of being maneuvered by people you could have outplayed, the exhaustion of defending positions you should never have exposed. That life is over the moment you decide it is. The second path is brutal. It will cost you your comfort. It will cost you the cheap satisfaction of being liked for your openness. But it will give you something no amount of approval can match: unshakable control over your own position. So choose. Choose whether you will remain the soldier who follows, or become the commander who dictates the terrain. Choose whether you will keep leaking power through your mouth, or seal every breach and force the world to adapt to your silence. Choose whether you will live as an open map that anyone can read, or as the labyrinth they enter and never escape. The battlefield is set. They're watching you. Every move you make from this point will either reinforce your dominance or confirm your weakness. There will be no middle ground. If you are silent, let it be the silence of a loaded weapon. If you speak, let it be the strike that ends the campaign. And when you move, move without hesitation, without warning, without permission. Dominate without saying a word, or be dominated for the rest of your life.